Hello. All right, so lesson 18, Genesis chapter 19. We'll see how Sodom and Gomorrah are destroyed. So we saw yesterday Abraham talking with God and asking him, how many does there need to be? Well, God won't destroy the righteous with the wicked. That's a promise that he's made. And so God will send those angels to take Lot out of the city, but he will destroy it. So, let's look at Genesis chapter 19. And there came two angels to Sodom at even. And Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet. And ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house. And he did make them a feast, and did bake them unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold now, I have two daughters which have not known men. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do unto them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore they came they under the shadow of my roof. And they said, Stand back. And they said again, This one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand, and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-laws, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. We'll stop there for right now. So where was Lot? Where did these men, who were angels, these messengers, where was Lot when they met him? Where was he sitting? Brody?
At the gate of Sodom.
At the gate. Eh? Often there'd be large archways in those stone walls with doors that could be opened and shut. And that was a common place for the people who wanted to sit and do business, maybe get up and make a speech before other men, or maybe they were theorizing or discussing the latest court trials or what was going on. But that's what these men were doing there, sitting there. And so Lot was amongst these wicked men of the city. Okay? Now, just as Abraham could see when his guests were by him that there was something special about these guests, so too here does Lot. He realizes these men are special. These men are different. They aren't like the normal, wearied, worn-out strangers or travelers who come to the city, but he could see that these were special men. Okay? Again, their faces were probably different. And he invites them into his house to stay. That makes sense. We saw yesterday how it is important to be, well, if we see guests at our church, to be welcoming to them. And so Lot does the same thing here. But these angels say to them, No, that's okay. We're going to stay in the night, in the streets all night. Okay? Lot knew the wickedness of the city. It was not a city to be staying out into the streets all night. It was not a place that was a great place for godly men to be staying. Okay? He knew the wickedness of the city. Sometimes others may have that too. Maybe they invite their friends over, then they're embarrassed at maybe some of the things they have in their homes that they wished they didn't allow them to see, because they're embarrassed that others may know that this is a type of lifestyle that they live. Okay? Or maybe someone says, hey, I'd like to come visit you at your place, where your new place where you're living in. Well, I'd rather not to be embarrassed to see who I'm living with or the people that I'm all around that are surrounding me. No, that's okay. Don't come in. But here, Lot implores these men to come in because he knows what the streets of Sodom are like. They are no place for men to be at night, new men in the town. Right? And so he invites them in. He plans to give them a feast and then let them go in the morning. Okay? So these, we read here, they come in, okay, to his house, and they enter it, and he made a feast, and he baked unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, so maybe they were relaxing, maybe they're discussing and talking about things, and while they're there in the home relaxing and talking, a knock comes at the door. And I'm sure in those days there was a way to look outside of the house to see who's out there. And what does Lot see? But he sees a throng of men, young and old, and he recognizes them as wicked men of the city, men who do nothing good, but rather run to that which is wicked and evil. Okay? And the men of Sodom, as God has told us in the Bible, when we give ourselves over unto sin, what usually happens to our sinfulness, our sinful nature over time? What begins to happen? Same thing of why God needed to destroy the earth with a flood. What was happening to the wickedness of men? Kenton?
It was getting greater.
Yeah. When we do one sin, maybe we do something we know is wrong. Well, it becomes more tempting to do it again and again and again. And then maybe we do it a little bit more even, or advance it even further. Well, that's what had happened here in Sodom. These men had completely given themselves over to wickedness, of sin, the worst kind of sin that we see here. Okay? These men had given themselves over to the sin of homosexuality. Okay? These men were horrible sinners. And they would not obey the laws of God. Okay? But they wanted to obey their own laws. So that's why they asked, hey, we saw 2 visitors come into your house. Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out that we may know them. But Lot it's almost like he's embarrassed or he's dreading. He knows what potentially could happen. And so what does he do? He went out at the door unto them and shut the door after him. So he knew that these men of the city somewhat respected him, and he wanted to go out of the door and shut it. Maybe we have that where we're having a conversation and mom or dad comes walking up and we all of a sudden talk in hushed tones. We don't want mom and dad to hear what we're saying. Or even here at school, the teacher comes walking by, so we're quiet or we stop what we're doing so that they don't maybe know what exactly is going on. Or we hope they don't. And that's what Lot does here. He goes out to the door and closes it behind him. Embarrassed by the city that he's living in, this filthy, wicked, horrible city. He doesn't want these godly men to know about it. He thinks they won't know about it. The fool Lot is there. Of course they know about how wicked this city is. That's why they're here, to destroy the city. Lot here makes a wicked, strange offer. Instead of me opening the door and bringing these 2 strangers out to you, I've got 2 daughters. I'll bring them out and you can do with them as you please. Knowing they would not accept his offer because it wasn't the type of sin that they were looking for. It was wrong for Lot to do that. But they mocked him. And they even called him, well, we see on the next page here, they said, stand back. This one fellow came in to sojourn, and now he will need to be... You are a stranger. This is not your homeland here. Sodom isn't your home city. Rather, you're just a stranger here. You're one who has come in temporarily or not that long ago. And now you're going to judge us and tell us what we can and cannot do? They begin to surround Lot, and they think, well, we can't have those other 2 men. We'll have Lot instead. And quickly, the door behind Lot opens, because these are angels of God knowing exactly what's going on. And they reach out, they pull Lot into the house again, and they close the door quickly. And the men probably begin to pound and push on the door, beating on it, trying some way, maybe some climbing up onto the house, because they want, well, what they came for, and that is sin. They came for pleasure, they came for sin, and that is what they think they're going to have. But that is not what happens. By a wonder, what do the angels do here? What happens to these wicked men surrounding the house of Lot, trying to get their way in amber?
The angels strike them with blindness?
Yes, by a miracle, by a wonder of God, God gives these angels power to strike these men with blindness. Not just, you see great as well, not just physical blindness that they can't see, because they can still feel around, but He also gives them mental blindness, so that they can't think clearly. They didn't understand. They couldn't even find the door anymore. They're confused. How did they go their way, and what were they like? Were they like meandering strangers through the city the rest of the night or for a while, and then they came out of it, and they didn't know where they were or what they are? Sometimes that happens in the medical community. We see someone has maybe a stroke or a seizure. When they come out, well, what's going on? I don't understand how I got here. Where am I? This is all confusing to me. Probably was something along those lines. God gave them a mental blindness. What a sad, sad city Sodom is, and what a sad place Lot has put him into. Right? Now, as we read there, the men said unto Lot, now, Lot, here's your home. And we know Lot has a wife. We know he has 2 daughters. But then these angels asked him, are there more family members? Your daughters? Do you have son-in-laws? Do you have other relatives? Where are they? Bring them into this house, for tomorrow the city must be destroyed. We need to leave. And Lot, who does he go to find? Somewhere in the city, living in other sins and pleasures. Who does he go to find? To warn. Jennifer? Son-in-laws. And he goes to them, and all they do is laugh and mock and ridicule him. You fool. You God worshiper, probably. Call him all kinds of names. We do what we please. We're having a good time over here with the city. We don't want to come home. What do you mean, come home? The night's just getting started. We're going to have an awful lot of fun. Get out of here, old man. They make fun of him. They mock him. What they said, we don't know exactly, but it probably was somewhere along those lines. These sons-in-laws are engaged to the daughters of Lot. They're to be married to them, but you can see they're more interested in the pleasures of the city. And so they refuse to come. They don't come. So now that leaves Lot and his wife and his 2 daughters in the home. Let's see how it is destroyed. Verse 15. Really follow along at verse 15 there. Okay? Verse 15 of chapter 19. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot. So they're hurrying him along, saying, arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters. And the Lord be merciful unto him, and they brought him forth, and sent him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. So the plain right around, flat land around the city. Don't escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, oh, not so, my Lord. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me, and I die. Behold, now this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. And he said unto him, see, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city for which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. Then the sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities, and all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind her, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord, and he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plain, and behold, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities, in the which Lot dwelt. So, at dawn the next morning, the angels are up, and they're telling Lot, let's get moving. Chop, chop. Okay? Maybe mom or dad have to do that some mornings before school, or maybe they've got big plans for the day, and they want to get going, and you're kind of slowly, come on, we got to get breakfast, we need to get dressed, let's get moving, come on now, folks. Okay? And we drag our feet. Well, why is Lot and his family dragging their feet here? Why are they dragging their feet? Micah?
Because they like the city.
They like the city. They like the city life. They don't want to leave it behind. They're afraid of that country life, of what it might be like. And finally, what do the angels have to do to get them out of there? What do the angels do, Amber? Yeah, they grab them and drag them out of there by their clothing or by their hands or whatever. They drag them out of the home and out of the city, get them out of here. Because the angels know the city will be destroyed by God with fire and brimstone. They need to get them out. That's why these angels have come, to get Lot out of the city. And Lot realizes, too, what great goodness has been done unto him, the mercy that has been shown to him. Because Lot knows, by living in the city and forsaking the church and not staying with Abraham, he deserves, that is what he deserves. He deserves to be punished in that fire and brimstone as well. But God is merciful, and God loves his people and says, even though you deserve it, same thing he says to me, to all of you, we deserve punishment in hell. But God has sent Jesus to us to die for our sins. And so these angels drag him out, and then we see Lot begging. I don't want to go into the mountains. I don't know how to live in the mountains. I'll probably be killed there. Maybe a wild animal will get a hold of me. Maybe I'll be murdered up there by wicked men who live up in the mountains. Oh, not so, my Lord. Can I please go to a little city? Not a big wicked city like you said, but there's a little city over there, Zoar. Can I please go? Because I'm better suited for the city life. The angels granted him that. They said, go ahead. You can go ahead and go to that city. Okay? And then, as Lot came to Zoar, God poured down fire and brimstone on Sodom and Gomorrah and all the plain around it, destroying all the wickedness that is there. Not one escaped. Don't think that one was able to dodge in between the things coming down, the fire and the brimstone coming down from heaven, and dodged and zigzagged their way out of the city and were escaped. But all who lived in that city were destroyed. Okay? They were all killed. Okay? The soil that was there, fire and brimstone. Brimstone is something that is sulfurous, has a lot of salt. That fire and brimstone that rained down into Sodom and Gomorrah, and that rained down into the plain that surrounded it there. So you can imagine these huge, large boulders, sulfurous boulders, striking the ground and making dents into the ground. What happens when you put salt into a farmer's field? What happens to that field? Joe? Can't grow crops anymore. The Romans knew that when they went across south of the Mediterranean Sea, and they defeated those in northern Africa. They would pour salt in Carthage into their fields so that they could no longer grow crops there. So many historians believe that Sodom and Gomorrah, the area, the location they were in, is now what we know today as the Dead Sea. What's special about the Dead Sea? What's special about it? Micah?
It's all salty.
It's the saltiest sea on the earth. We could go there and float in it. It's so salty. We'd be so buoyant. You know how if we go to the pool, we have to work a little bit to float on our backs or float on our stomachs. Not in the Dead Sea, not the salt sea. There's so much salt there that we can float in it. So many believe that, okay? That this area, this big plain, was changed into the Dead Sea. Okay? That's a picture of what? What is the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah a picture of in the future? Kenton?
End of the world.
End of the world. God destroyed the world once with a flood. He promised never to do that again. So it would make sense that he would probably destroy the world with fire and brimstone. Okay? To punish the wicked who are all here. And then what happened to Lot's wife? Because she still wished she could go back. All of her things and belongings were still in that house. Jaden?
She looked back and she became a pillar of salt.
Alright, that was her punishment. The same sulfur, the same salt that destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, that's what she was turned into as well. Okay? That was her punishment. And Abraham, that morning, it says, when he arose and he awoke, he looked out toward the place of Sodom and Gomorrah, and there he could see the smoky furnace of that area, those cities burning, probably black billowing smoke going up into the sky. God had destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. And now Abraham can see, too. He remembers that God would save Lot from that. The righteous did not perish with that. Jesus teaches us, I think I asked in that sheet there. Yes, read Luke 17, verse 32. What was Jesus teaching with this?
Don't be concerned with the things of this world.
Yeah, there's another spot in the Bible where God says, ye cannot serve God and, what's that word, Kenton? Mammon. Can't serve God and mammon. You can't have two masters in life. So Jesus teaches the people by saying, remember Lot's wife. The more important to her was the things of this world, the earthly things, than the good godly things. And so she was destroyed for that. Remember Lot's wife. Okay? So Jesus is teaching that there is too. Remember Lot's wife. Alright, looking over those questions there. I think we covered most of them. See there, how are the wicked of this world like the son-in-laws of Lot in verse 14 when they hear about leaving their sins? When they hear that it's time to leave their sins, what do? Colin?
They laugh.
Yeah, they mock and laugh too. If you were to tell them, you're going to die in hell, you need to begin to observe the Sabbath day, stop living this life of sinfulness, this wickedness, our neighbors would probably laugh at us and mock us and ridicule us. Okay? So, I see that there as well. Alright, so hang on to those there.